Alright y'all, it's been way too long since I posted something, but here we are back again on the AJ Plays channel, and today I'm bringing you a video that has been in the works for quite a while now. It's been about 2 weeks since we come up with the idea, but here we are with the top 10 MLW hitters on my end, featuring ECK Sports from the 2022 season, and on his end, we are doing top 10 pitchers from the 2022 season. In this video in particular, in the hitter stats, we're going to just be taking a look at 10 players that have really excelled this year, not only like impacting their team on the wiffle ball field, but the stats speak for themselves especially. Let's get right into it with number 10 for the hitters list. Kicking things off at number 10, we have our boy Brennan Russell of the Pacific Predators. Now, Brennan Russell is always known as a hitter to have a really good first slate, really perform there, but then he cools off as the season progresses. Now, if we're going to honestly look at his season as a whole, you know what? He wasn't as dominant as he was early on, but he still kept up the pace, and he was a big part of the Predators' overall resurgence, the pushback to the playoffs. They got to the ALCS this year after missing last year. They really got themselves back on track. And Russell just overall becoming a much better hitter than he was last year has been a big part of that. Looking at his statistics in particular, 250 average, along with his 6 home runs and his 17 RBI, it's a 1,000 OPS, which is pretty damn solid for a hitter. Brendan Russell had a very good resurgent year. Solid year in MLW for my boy Brendan Russell.
Following Brendan Russell at number 10, you have Dallas Allen at number 9. Now, you guys are probably expecting Dallas Allen to be higher on this list. And you're like, who are you putting him over? He won the batting title. That should put him like top 5. But it really doesn't, because as a real overall hitter, he is not a top 5 guy. And that's why we have him number 9. In 43 at-bats, he had a league-leading 395 average with 1 home run, 13 RBIs, 527 on base, 465 slugging, and a 992 OPS. Now, you're probably thinking I'm really just putting him down because of the home runs, because his other numbers are really good. But that's not really the case. Other guys were just better, in my opinion. And honestly, that includes his teammate right above him.
Coming in at number 8, we have a player that, let's be dead honest, he is very similar to Brendan Russell in this regard of, consistency. This year, Zach Whalen was by far, I think, his best that he's ever been, and it's clearly the case because this year was his first appearance as an all-star as a one-way player. Zach Whalen had a 323 average along with 3 home runs and 12 RBIs, and his OPS cleared 1,000. He really was hitting the ball well, got on base a lot, and got a lot of bases in total. As for Zach Whalen's 2022 season, definitely worthy of a top 10 mention.
At number 7, you have Tommy COUGHLIN. Tommy COUGHLIN, one of the longtime league vets. He started in the league in 2010. He's been there for a long time. And this year, he did not slow down whatsoever. In 54 at-bats, he batted .296 with 6 home runs, 25 RBIs, 513 on base, 630 slugging, and a 1,142 OPS. After 2021, things were looking to slow down for Tommy. And we were unsure if he was going to be able to continue being that elite player he was before 2021. But this year, he showed he could, with his incredible performance this year in the regular season, and he played pretty well in the playoffs too. His production this year, making the All-Star game on a great Mallards team, and of course his great stats, gets him here at number 7.
Now, in at number 6, this could be a little bit controversial, but we have the MLW GOAT, known as Kyle Schultz. And you also see his stats. It's like, why are they better than some people who are probably going to be ranked above him? Kyle Schultz and the Western Wildcats, their season was the definition of pretender. That's why Kyle Schultz's stats are pretty inflated. It doesn't discredit the kind of hitter he is. He's still one of the best players in the league, as you can see here with his 344 average, one of the top averages in the league, as well as his well over plus 1,000 OPS. For Kyle Schultz, he wasn't that consistent, and he didn't do that well in games against teams like the Cobras and Predators. He really did struggle in that first half. Second half really saved his average, saved all his stats. But overall, we can't discredit the kind of player that Kyle Schultz is. However, this season, he wasn't the best of the best. We're going to give him 6 today.
At number 5, you have Daniel Schultz, right above his brother Kyle. Most people would probably consider Kyle a better hitter than Daniel, but honestly, I don't think that's the case anymore. Daniel Schultz in 40 at-bats hit .325 with 4 home runs, 15 RBIs, 542 on base, 625 slugging, and a 1,167 OPS. Before this year, things were looking down for Daniel Schultz as a hitter, as he was regressing each year since 2018. However, this year, he really bounced back and was a great power threat for the Eagles, and really the only power threat for the Eagles in that lineup. I understand they have 2 other top 10 hitters in Zach Whalen and Dallas Allen, but they also had Daniel Schultz, who was the true leader of that offense. And I think guys like Dallas Allen are really overshadowing him because he won the batting title. But Daniel Schultz finishes as a top hitter in 2022.
And we come here with Western Wildcat Nick Saylor at the number 4 spot on this list. Out of all 3 Wildcats hitters, Nick Saylor was by far the most consistent. For Kyle Schultz, he was a little bit streaky. We can definitely say that. But Nick Saylor, consistent all the way through. His stats are worse than Kyle's, but remember they're not exactly inflated. He was just consistent, and he did that same kind of stuff against the Magic and Gators. Meanwhile, Kyle feasted on them with a 311 average and an OPS, another OPS above 1,000 with the slugging of 623, OBP of 432, 6 homers, 14 RBIs. In 61 at-bats, he definitely did his fair share, and he was a critical piece as to why the Wildcats did make that push to get into the playoffs later toward the end of the season with the efforts of Nick Saylor and Kyle Schultz leading the charge.
At number 3, it's Jimmy Knorp. Jimmy Knorp is probably a top 3 player and a top 3 hitter in this league. We have him here at number 3. In 60 at-bats, he had 367 with 5 home runs, 14 RBIs, a 558 on base, 633 slugging, and a 1,191 OPS. I think something in the beginning of the year that made people think that Jimmy Knorp might not be the player he was his pitching. But the truth was, his hitting was there all along. In fact, I would say in the first half of the season, his hitting was much better than it was in the second half of the season. However, his hitting in the second half of the season was still great. Even though this year he didn't put up the crazy home run numbers he had in the past, in the World Series, he went absolutely crazy. He had a home run each game, including a walk-off and a clutch go-ahead 2-run home run to win the game in Game 1. And of course, the walk-off won the Game 2. And the home run in Game 3 really just solidified that the Diamondbacks were going to be World Series champions in 2022. Even though he might have been number 1 or number 2 last year, still being top 3 is very good.
At number 2, guys, we have the MVP voted by the fans, and for very, very good reason, Ryan Kracht of the Pacific Predators. Just looking at these stats, they are definitely some of the top across the board. 333 average, 7 home runs, 17 RBI. He turned the team around. His resurgence really drove the Preds to getting back into postseason contention with a 1,000 plus OPS, along with his 333 average, his 7 home runs, his 17 RBIs. Ryan Kracht was definitely that guy this season for the Pacific Predators, with not only the All-Star appearance, the MVP. Ryan Kracht was just the best player, not hitter, the best player overall in MLW, most impactful at least, most valuable to his team in 2022. However, there is one batter that had a better season hitting-wise than he did.
And at number 1, you have this year's Silver Slugger, Jordan Robles. Jordan Robles this year in 56 at-bats batted .393 with a league-leading 8 home runs, 17 RBIs, 595 on base, 821 slugging, and a 1,417 OPS. Jordan was clearly the best hitter in the league this year, and that was shown by the Silver Slugger voting as he finished first in the Silver Slugger voting, and leading the league in home runs definitely helped that out. But his OPS, slugging, on base, all that stuff is very high, and that's what you want to see from the best hitter in MLW, which is Jordan Robles.
And on that note, guys, that's all we have time for today. I want to thank you guys all very much for watching this video. I really want to give a special shout out to ECK Sports. If you guys have not seen him yet, he makes content very similar to mine. Definitely a channel that I highly recommend if you like my kind of content. So I really want to thank him for, taking part in this video. We've wanted to collaborate for a long time, and you know what, he finally came through. We finally had the time, the schedules to, try to make it work. Sorry for being a little bit inactive as of late as well, but I promise you guys I'll be back at it, back at the YouTube content for you guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'm going to see you guys all next time. Peace out, y'all.